Hello, and welcome to Sports by Compian. We have a very special episode today because we have our very in-house, in-studio guest, Omeiza Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan is a powerful number 12 for the Rockford Ravens who shows up on occasion and does a lot of destruction when these things happen.
On occasion.
On occasion, of course.
On occasion.
As always, we are joined by our co-host, Corey motherfucking Compian. Corey, how are you today? You look like you're
doing fantastic.
Is it another just absolutely beautiful day in Costa Rica down there? Is that what's happening?
We had a little bit of rain, and now it is sunny as fuck again. It is very hot, but yeah, it is pretty great.
Awesome. I heard you were kicking ass at cleaning the floors earlier, so good job there.
I had a titanic duel with my floors, but I fucking won, you piece of shit floors. I'm the victor here!
It's all about the victories. So, Omeiza here is a avid Detroit Lions fan. Detroit versus everyone. That's how my boy gets down.
Let's go.
Let's go ahead and make sure we're sharing this.
Just out there biting kneecaps. Doesn't matter if they have, 3 toes and an asshole. Still bite their kneecaps.
Detroit man. I just really like Detroit, man. And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about this, man. But anyway, go ahead and take it away, Omeiza Sullivan. What are your initial thoughts off the top about this your team?
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about something that I think is you kind of look past. We'll get to this season and preseason later, but we actually live here in Illinois, and so we have a lot of Bears fans. So I understand the reason for the bias, but I'm here to debunk a myth. Okay. And the myth is that Walter Payton is the greatest running back of all time. And objectively, it's just not true. The greatest running back of all time is...
Oh, I know where he's going with this.
It's Barry Sanders.
I think you're going to find a lot of people who are going to have a hard time who would agree with you, and I think the doubters would have a hard time arguing, for sure.
So I didn't know. I knew where you were going with that as soon as you said running back. I was like, oh yeah, fucking the little speedster from Detroit. That makes sense. I'd say it's maybe a conversation. I don't know if it's like undisputed, but I'd say it's a conversation.
Absolutely, I think that's a fair statement.
I absolutely think it's undisputed. Right now, if we're talking about sports documentaries, sure. Walter Payton's his documentaries are probably going to get a lot of more views, a lot higher ratings. That's fine. There are a lot of football fans who may pick Walter Payton as their favorite player over Barry Sanders. But if we're talking about, if we take all of our biases out of the equation and we look at the game of football,
Okay.
Right? So we'll look at obviously our statistics. We're going to look at and put that in team context. Then I truly believe that Barry Sanders is the greatest running back of all time. Now, I was actually looking at some highlights. Obviously, it was a great time. I love Walter Payton's highlights. Everyone does.
Who doesn't?
I love Barry Sanders' highlights.
Hold on. Corey, you hate them, don't you? I can tell just by that smirk. Why do you hate Walter Payton's highlights, Corey? Stop it.
So I realized that I wasn't capturing audio, so I hot fixed my my shiznizzle, and now I'm capturing audio.
Sweet. Anyway, what were you saying?
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, I guess, the journey of logic that I went on recently.
Wait. So let me ask you this real quick. How many seasons did Deion Sanders play? Or not Deion Sanders. The dude.
Barry Sanders played 10 seasons.
10 seasons. Okay.
Somehow it feels like it'd be less, but that's...
I thought it was shorter. I thought it was one of those things where like he dropped out of the league after being really good.
Yeah, I kind of thought 7 to 8.
So Barry Sanders played for 10 seasons. Walter Payton played for, I believe, 13. It was either 12 or 13. Okay. Now.
So it's close.
It's close. I even looked at statistics. You kind of have to skew them a little bit because Walter Payton started playing when they had a 14-game season. and then that's when they switched to a 16-game season.
Okay,
So he had less games to get yards and get touchdowns and stuff.
True, but still, even if you were to chop those first 2 or 3 seasons off, and we were to only look at the last 10, we could compare Walter Payton's last 10 to Barry Sanders' last 10.
Sure.
Right? Now, before we get into the statistics part, let's just talk football, right?
Okay.
We're talking about 70s, 80s, 90s football, right?
All right.
We're not talking about 2022 football, right? It's a completely different game, right? How did they play the game? They played.
Well, we're running.
For a lot of teams would either run the ball, really, really, really well, or it was pass to get the lead, run to keep the lead, and a lot of teams adopted the pass to get the lead and run to keep the lead. The reason why that's important is because one team was significantly better than the other. Obviously, the Bears were much, much better than the Lions were. So if I'm passing,
So you're going with this,
if I'm passing to get the lead,
and then he just running all game long.
To keep the lead, and I have a significantly better team, that's going to, I guess, inflate Walter Payton's stats a little bit. So we have to keep that in mind, right, when we look at stats. Another thing we have to keep in mind is one of their lines was significantly better. Walter Payton's offensive line, was significantly better, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you introduce, in my opinion, the third best running back of all time, Emmitt Smith, right? Even though he rushed for the most yards of all time, a lot of people will say, well, he had a far better line than Walter Payton.
Both of them, yeah.
Okay, so if I say Walter Payton is better because he had a worse line than Emmitt Smith, and Barry Sanders had a worse line than Walter Payton, then what does that tell you? It tells you we're going to have to keep that in mind when we look into our statistics, right? This is all about context, right?
No, but that makes sense.
So I agree with this. I agree with this because, like, if you look at, I see the same thing with the two tight ends in the league right now, George Kittle and Travis Kelce. So everyone's like, oh, Travis Kelce is way better, but he has a superstar team around him. Whereas George Kittle, I remember I saw him one game where I think Garoppolo was injured, and they had, I think it was like Nick Mullen or something like that in there. Dude, this guy, they were winning, and he was literally 50% of their offense. Like, of their offensive yards, he had 50% of them. So he's killing it with, like, hobos around him. Whereas Travis Kelce, he's a superstar, but that's because they can't dedicate resources to stop him. They're looking at Tyreek Hill, they're looking at, all these other weapons. So I get where you're coming with. The team around the player definitely does affect.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's only the offensive side of the ball. We haven't even begun to talk about the defensive side of the ball.
Right? And in a run, and the thing is, in a ground and pound offense like the Bears were running, a perfect defense is what you need for that to work.
And if I remember correctly, the Bears had a championship defense, right?
100%.
They not only have a
They always talk about what the 85 Bears is like the standard for defense.
They not only had a very great defense, but they also had great coaching, right? They have, I think the 85 Bears had, 4 or 5 Hall of Famers, including a Hall of Fame coach, as opposed to the Lions having who, right? So we're looking at a significantly better team. So I want to set this sort of stage before I look at the statistics, right? Because if I only look at statistics, you can say really whatever you want.
Should I pull the statistics off, or do you know them?
Yeah, I actually looked.
Okay.
So when I looked at also team stats, right? Like I said, the Bears were significantly better. I think if you chop off Walter Payton's first 2 years and you look at just his last 10, just so we could do 10 seasons and 10 seasons, I think the Bears went 88 and 72. So that's about 55% of their games, including five playoff appearances, and then obviously the Super Bowl that they won in 1985, as opposed to Barry Sanders. I think I only counted 78 wins, so under 50% of their games they won, and they only had one playoff win in that entire 10 years, which so happens to be
that's huge because you can't be running the ball too much whenever you're losing.
All right. So I say all that to say this. when you look at the statistics, Barry Sanders was at a very big disadvantage, right?
Okay.
So then when I looked at statistics, let's actually look at it. Barry Sanders only had 1,500 less yards than Walter Payton, which 1,500 yards when we're talking about these great running backs is a season.
It's a season, yeah.
Right?
But so are you saying
But that's
he
career
played?
games,
Oh, he had more games, right?
right? Yes. So he did only a season's less worth of yardage. However, Walter Payton played 3 longer seasons, right? Now, another statistic that I think is very, very, very underrated is yards per carry, right? If you look at Walter Payton's yards per carry, he was at what, 4.4? And Barry Sanders was at 5.0, right? I also
0.6.
I also broke it down.
Look at this, the per game. Look at the per game too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll get there. Hold on, I'll get there. If you also look at season by season, so Walter Payton's career average is 4.4, right? If you look at season by season, Barry Sanders only had 1 year that was under 4.4, right? He had 4.3 yards per carry in one season, right?
Wow.
In every single one of his 10 seasons, he rushed for at least 1,000 yards. Walter Payton did not do that, right? Another thing, and as we have the
That's 838 more.
the stats pulled up, Barry Sanders rushed for almost 12 yards more per game, right? Walter Payton has 88 yards per game, and Barry Sanders has 99.8. I think he was like 31 yards shy of being in triple digits, which is huge for a running back. If you run for 75 yards, you get a thumbs up from me, right?
Yeah.
So he's only 31 yards away from rushing for 100 yards per game. And the next big thing for me, which I think really, sort of puts the icing on the cake, is the fact that Barry Sanders is in the 2,000-yard club, right? Out of all the great running backs we have, out of all the magnificent seasons we have, we've only had 8 instances where a running back has rushed for 2,000 yards, right? Most recently, Derrick Henry, who did it in 2020, right?
Yeah.
It's so rare that, so it's not even 2 years ago, Derrick Henry did it, but the last time it was done was 2012, right? Almost 10 years, right?
Wow.
Adrian Peterson did it, right?
Huh.
There are only 8 times it's ever been done, and Barry Sanders has one of them. He's never rushed for less than 1,000 yards. He has almost a half a yard better per carry than Walter Payton. If you look at, like I said, Walter Payton's average was 4.4. Barry Sanders only has 1 season where he averaged less than 4.4, right? He only averaged 4.3 yards per carry. So you take all of those statistics, right? And you don't only look at statistics, but remember what we talked about before. Walter Payton's team was way better, right?
Yeah.
As we can see, he had over 800 more attempts, right? He had
This is a solid argument.
He had a better defense, right? So we're looking at, right? Think about game management, clock management. When you're playing ahead, right?
But what's interesting, I actually noticed on the attempts. So we're saying Barry's probably played about 3 more years, and he only had 800 more attempts. How many?
Well, so my question is yards per game, because if we're looking at overall yards, and they had different size seasons, different size careers, who had higher yards per game? I think you guys went over that.
Still, Barry Sanders.
Barry.
Went over that, yep.
So yeah, that's kind of that. If you're doing more with less, that's the better guy. I'm sold. I'll take 10.
I think it was a solid.
You're a convincing man.
I think you're gonna have.
You're a convincing man. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Just paint the picture, and the statistics actually
Fill it in.
Yeah.
Validate that. So
Wow.
I needed to get on that soapbox for a little bit.
Well, we appreciate that. Solid ass breakdown. I think before we hop into this, maybe
Now, before we get crucified by any Bears fans, if you say that your favorite running back of all time is Walter Payton, that is fine. That's
Absolutely.
a great pick.
Sure.
He's just not the greatest running back. That's all.
Fair enough. We're picking 3 running backs to play against the aliens with, though. You're taking what? Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, Walter Payton.
If we playing aliens?
Yeah, or are you putting Derrick Henry in there?
No. I don't. I'm not a.
Just so you have a power back, something to mix it up.
I'm taking Aiden Dickerson over. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't even think Derrick Henry is even the best running back in the NFL right now.
No, but I think he just gets a lot of attempts.
I think it's the same. It's the same argument that I sort of used with Walter Payton and Barry Sanders. If you look at the offensive line of the Titans, well, yeah, I mean, if you're not getting contact within 4 yards of the ball, I expect you to average 5.2 yards a carry.
True.
I think Nick Chubb is a better running back than Derrick Henry.
That's a solid pick. I was trying to think who I would say, maybe like Josh Jacobs, who it's kind of weird the Raiders are pushing them out right now.
The simple perspective is, I can look at, okay, let's write down all the things that Derrick Henry does well. He does this. Nick Chubb can do all of those things. But if you look at all the things that Nick Chubb can do, can we say definitively that Derrick Henry can do all those things? And the answer is no.
I guess the top line speed is the difference there.
True, but once you get to that high level of speed,
yeah.
Well, first off, it's not always as common to get to that top level of speed.
Right.
And second, 0.04 of a second doesn't really make that big of a difference in game.
Sure.
So I wouldn't look at breakaway speed
as like a deciding factor.
As a deciding factor, unless, since we're talking about type of running back, we're talking about like someone like Chris Johnson, who was the fastest by far on the field. There are plenty of times where he should have gotten tackled for a 3-yard gain, and he turned it into 40. But
Chris Johnson was fun to watch. That guy won more than a couple fantasy leagues.
Oh, yeah. Another guy who rushed for 2,000 yards.
CJ2K.
But the difference between him and the next fastest guy was big enough for his top speed to actually matter.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So, who would you guys say was the funnest running back? Because I would make an argument for Marshawn Lynch, just because he's such a ridiculous human, and he just plays aggressively. Like, he's like, I'm going to run through people, but also, like, have breakaway plays.
I think Marshawn Lynch might be my pick for one of my favorite running backs to have watched. It was funny. I remember we'd give Bills games all the time down there in Costa Rica for no reason. Like, they just loved Bills Network somehow. They thought we were in New York, I guess. But anyway, so for some reason I was watching the Bills like every Sunday, and I remember watching Marshawn Lynch, and like he had a hard running back room, so he was hard at time getting on the field because Fred Jackson was there killing it, like for no reason. Fred Jackson had a good little run there in Buffalo, and so like it was hard for Marshawn to get on the field, and it wasn't until he finally got off to Seattle they really took off. But you saw flashes even in his rookie year, so he was a fun running back to watch for sure.
So the question is, I'm picking 3 running backs. Is do I get all time?
To play against the aliens, yeah.
Well, for sure.
Against aliens.
I would say, okay, so I would pick an all-around back, a speed back,
yeah,
and a power back. My all-around back, that's going to be Barry Sanders for sure.
Sure.
If I had to pick my speed back, it has to be Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
But my power back, it's got to be Earl Campbell, man. Gotta be.
Not a bad choice. I might just go bias here and say A-Trade now. Send me and Mike Allstott there as a power back and those two.
But for an all-around back, you wouldn't want like Christian McCaffrey since he can catch also? Have like some little breakaway catches?
Somehow that he will stay healthy for the whole game? Is there some type of spell we can do?
It's in the contract!
Survive the whole game? Because we need him for at least the game, dude. Like, come on.
The aliens come out there and spray him with like some little insta-heal.
Anyway, boys. So, let's get into these 2022 Detroit Lions, man. Alright, man?
Man.
Stuff, man. All right. So what are we thinking about this, Omeiza? Do these boys have any hope? Their boy and Matthew Stafford was sent off. He finally got his ring. Good for him. You got Jared Goff, who I think a lot of people are slowly being surprised by Jared Goff, especially during this like Hard Knocks, watching him
Who is surprised?
sort of interacting.
Who is surprised?
Me, I'm surprised. I think other people are surprised too. The dude, like, I don't know. He just strikes me as the type of guy who like it's always been going great for, so it's hard to feel bad for him when things weren't going well. But he seems like an okay guy, and I guess you kind of hope that he figures out with the Detroit Lions. But I love that coach, dude. I have bought in on Dan Campbell. That guy's awesome.
He's a fun dude.
I am not a believer in Jared Goff.
Well,
I would like to see him on wearing some other colors, personally.
That's fair. I would probably have a similar sentiment if I had him. So.
Right? I mean, if he was really so good, how come he didn't win Super Bowls at his previous team?
yeah. No, I meant surprised that like he's semi.
Did you try to draft a backup for him, or you're just like, no, this is our guy?
I would have liked to see us draft a quarterback, but I guess this is our guy.
There wasn't a lot of options this year. To be fair.
No, it wasn't that. You got to check the contract details.
Oh yeah.
He's in Detroit getting paid LA money, so that's what we're going with.
That makes sense. So he's perfect to rebuild. He's decent. You're not paying him, and you can rebuild around him when the time comes. You got a good team. You just pluck him out, throw in your rookie quarterback, whoever that may be, and you run for a ring.
I would have liked to have us go a different direction, just because there's a lot of things being shaken up in the NFC North right now. Devontae Adams is gone. We are on the rise defensively. The Bears have been projected to finish last. So the Bears have been projected to finish last.
Shocker.
The Packers are kind of a question mark, right? I'm seeing a lot of people having the Vikings and the Packers neck and neck, giving the edge to the Vikings. So I think with so much uncertainty in the NFC North, this is the time to make our statement. We've been rebuilding for like 8 years now. We gotta stop rebuilding, okay?
Hey, but that's not MCDC's fault. He just got there.
This is the time to use. If we could, I would have liked to have Jared Goff be maybe trade leverage, or draft pick leverage, and this be our year that we say, hey, we're gonna finish second in the NFC North. I would have liked to see that,
Sure.
but that doesn't seem to be the direction we're going. So,
So what I don't understand, why wouldn't you guys just take Malik Willis? He was around in the third round. Like, you could have had him. Instead, like the Titans, who really don't need a quarterback, they're like, well, shit, I mean, he's still here. I guess we'll take him.
Yeah. No, I would have liked to see. I would like to see Malik Willis. I guess there weren't a few, like Steven mentioned, there weren't like real big standout quarterbacks like we've seen maybe in the last 10 years.
Right.
With I remember the hype around Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck RG3.
I remember
that was incredible.
Crazy.
Even Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. Like, even last year's quarterbacks, they were big.
Yeah. But I remember even just being in high school, the hype behind Andrew Luck and RG3 had to be much, much higher. Unfortunately, their careers were cut short, both because of injury.
Yeah. Crazy. Injury will get you, man. Especially for Luck, like, it's crazy how he just kind of, like, all right, well, this isn't working, I'm out.
Hey, man, I don't blame the guy.
Not at all. Not at all.
He was in, like, rehab more than, like, Britney Spears. Like, it was crazy. He had, like, a lacerated kidney at one point.
Yeah, my man took a beating.
He was in rehab for this, that. Every time he played, he had like 3 different braces on. So, and he kept them alive in a lot of games that they had no business being in.
Yeah.
So, Hey man, good for Andrew Luck.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. He made his money, and Mercer made sure he kept a lot of it too. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy how it all turns out. But these guys are multimillionaires, so I think they'll be okay. What do you think, Cora?
Think they'll be all right.
All right. So what are you excited about on this team, Omeiza? Are you excited about Rodrigo? We've been seeing him on Hard Knocks.
I would say the most. I'd say the thing I'm most excited about is I want to see DeAndre Swift have his
Breakout
year. I want to see him spread his wings. I also want to see how our defense is gonna actually do something. Actually be a force. I remember the last time
because they have been like kind of good, but not like great, right?
Yeah, so I remember the last time the Lions made the playoffs. We actually had some studs on defense, and it wasn't just let's get the ball back, let's bend but don't break. Like they wanted to get out there and hurt some people. And Dominican Sue, I'm a fan. He was a bad dude.
Yeah.
He still is a bad dude.
Yeah. No one signed him yet?
Oh no, he's signed. He's signed. Who's he playing for? He actually won a Super Bowl ring with the
Buccaneers.
with
Damn
the
right.
boys.
Damn right he did. Good old Deon fucking Sue. We loved him. I loved having Sue there. He was great.
Yeah, see, that's what happens when you pay the man, and that was the very, very scary defensive line.
Sure was. While we're looking this up, this is a great time to go to our first non-sponsor sponsor of the day, which is, in this case, Nature's Nectar. Now, this is a lovely beverage here with lemon and ginger and coconut water. It was pretty good. Sparkly water, if you were into non-alcoholic beverages and want to try out some stuff sometimes, this might be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Nature's Nectar ultimately makes a whole lot of products, if I'm not mistaken. Mostly good stuff that's not terrible for you, which is kind of what you should be looking to drink since you are an athlete in your own life, whatever it may be. Anyway, Nature's Nectar, sponsored by Compian, because you want to. Moving on. What were you saying? Who's Dominican Sue with? We don't know.
He's still with the Bucks, is he not?
No.
So he's still with the Bucks.
No. Anyway, so you're looking for this Lions defense to really get out there, put up some points. We're looking at DeAndre Swift to spread his wings. I like this.
This dude, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I remember hearing about him last year, and I was like, "What? The Lions have a receiver again? Good for them." But is it hype? Is he living up to it? What's the deal with him?
He was good last year, Mr. St. Brown.
Think it'll be run it back?
I think my focus is more on Aiden Hutchinson, simply because, like you mentioned, we could have gotten Malik Willis, but we went with Aiden Hutchinson.
They could have got both.
It's like, man, it's like he's a good player, but I don't see that killer instinct, and I think that might. I have question marks around him. That's just me personally.
Fair enough.
If you're gonna be a first round pick, the standard is Myles Garrett. It has to be Myles Garrett. You're a first round pick.
Yeah.
It has to be the Myles Garretts. You have to be the T.J. Watts. You have to be those are the guys you have to be looking at, right?
No, you're not wrong.
And do I see him as not only athletically, but team chemistry-wise, but leadership-wise, do I see him as one of those two guys? No. As of right now, I don't see that.
Hutchinson?
I don't see the killer instinct. I don't see the athleticism.
He hasn't even played a real game yet.
He is a big boy. I'm looking at his stats. He's 6'7", 264.
College football and make a prediction?
Oh, dude, he had like 12 sacks in college football.
I can't watch the combine and make a prediction. What is this channel? I can't make predictions now.
No, fair enough. I'm just saying it's early. But yeah, I mean that's fair. I think he's gonna be good, but maybe you're right. Maybe there isn't a killer instinct to him.
And that's the problem. We can't be good. We cannot afford to be good. We have to be much better than good. Right? You can't be good as a first round pick.
You gotta be great.
The point of you being a first round pick is not that you're good. If you were good, you could go in the third round.
Yeah.
If you're first round pick, it's because you're the 1% of the 1% of humanity at your age.
Makes sense. Well,
out of all the 22-year-olds, this is the best goddamn 22-year-old according to the NFL.
That's the idea.
Which arguably could be the most athletic people in the whole world. So.
Right.
That's pretty crazy.
Well, all right. So the 1% of the 1% of the United States, we'll say that.
For sure.
Because there's probably some super athletic soccer players. They're not 6'7", almost 300 pounds, but they are athletic in their own right.
An athlete though, just because they're bigger and they can move like a fucking cat. I think that's pretty.
That guy, that's a dangerous man.
Yeah, dude.
That's a scary human.
No, for sure.
I don't know,
like, if you think about the stats, so he's 3 inches taller than me and holding a 60-pound bag, but runs at you faster than I can run at you.
Pretty fast. So, they're opening the season against the Eagles. You're saying... What did you say about this game? Did you say anything about this game?
Let's see here. Who do we got? We got some NFC East games. We got the Eagles, week 1. The Washington football team commander Redskins, week 2.
The Red Boys.
The Minnesota Vikings, week 3, and the Seattle Seahawks, week 4.
You got to give us a count as you go. I'll put up fingers for it.
Okay.
So the left side is lose, right side is win.
Okay, so after the first, we'll say the first 4 weeks, I'll give us an L in week 1, a win against the Washington football team commander Redskins in week 2, a loss in week 3 to the Vikings, and then I'll give us a win against the Seahawks. We're doing that
I would say so.
We're doing that our first 3 out of our 4 games are at home. So yeah, I would be okay with 2-2. We might squeak out 3-1, depending on how the Eagles have done with their offensive line. Like I said, also our defensive line I think is going to be the offensive line defensive line matchup is going to really tell a big story for me. By the way, speaking of the Eagles, I am a Jalen Hurts fan, so I am ready for him to get the respect that I think he deserves. Hopefully they put the pieces around him that he more needs instead of it being a dumpster fire that he's asked to maintain. So I would say the Lions, after the first month of the year, the first month of the season, are 2-2.
Okay. 2-2, and then against the Eagles. Well, how are we doing against the Patriots?
Against the Patriots.
This is an early bye week. That sucks. I think it's not that early.
I'm gonna give us a win.
Let's
give us
go.
a win on this one.
Yeah, fuck the Patriots.
Because I am
Take that, Patriots.
Take that, Cooper.
Sacre bleu.
I'm still not sold on Mr. Mac Jones yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're looking at over there.
So up until our week 6 bye, I have us at 3-2. At worst, I have us at 2-3.
Okay. And season gets a little tougher here. The Cowboys and the Dolphins, Packers, Bears.
See, those are 4 question marks in a row right there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
The Cowboys are the biggest question mark team in all of the NFL.
But we got Turpin. My man scored twice on special teams last night. Our offense doesn't have to do anything. My boy Turpin, he's just going to return kicks, fucking punts, doesn't matter. He's all over it.
This is for the...
You know what else doesn't matter?
Look at this goofball.
You know what else doesn't matter? Preseason. Okay. All right.
Oh, got him.
So we got.
Cowboys, Dolphins. What are we thinking?
I think the Dolphins is gonna be an L.
Yeah, the Dolphins
Just
might be good.
because the Dolphins, obviously I think the last 2 months of the season, they turned it on.
Yeah.
Last season, I was really impressed. And I think this is to his year. He has a lot more help now with Tyreek Hill. And
That's for sure.
There still hasn't been a single team that has been able to bottle him up yet. So, question mark on the Cowboys. I'll do a loss to the Dolphins. I'm going to mess around and give us a W against the Packers and the Bears.
Let's go. Humble those Packers
Wait.
fans a little bit.
Yeah, so at the end of 10 weeks, I have us at, 1, 2.
So you're at 5-3 with one bye week and one question mark on the Cowboys after 10 weeks.
I have us at 6-3. Very optimistic 6-3 after the first 2 months of the season. After 10 weeks.
All right. I can buy into that. 6-3.
6-3. I would say at worst, anything less than 4-5, I won't be happy with it.
Wow. So this is actually looking up for a really good season. You're saying then?
Yes. Just because there are so many question marks in the NFC North that we have.
That's fair. What do you reckon is the final schedule then? You're saying you get the Bills in week 12. That will be tough. Let's go back.
The Giants are actually going to be tough. They have a much better line. Things are sort of slowly but surely coming together. Just to be safe, I'll give us a loss against the Giants and the Bills. Giving us a win against the Jaguars. I might as well give us at least one win against the Vikings. And I'll give us one win against the Jets. So we're still...
That's really good shape,
We're
man.
still sniffing at the playoffs.
Yeah, that's like one game. Like going into these last 3 weeks, you could do like 10 and whatever that other number is. 10-4.
I like the idea of a double digit win season.
You think 10? 10-7.
I think.
Isn't that crazy? It's 17 games now.
Well, there's 2 bye weeks, so it'd be 10-5.
I think anything less than 7-10 for me is not a successful season. So I'm looking at optimistically 11-6 and bare minimum 7 games. We have to win those 7 games. I mean, if we play in the Bears, how many times? I saw the Jets a couple times.
Let's look at some of these must-wins. So you got the Jets, you got the Bears twice, you got the Vikings twice, who are a question mark team. You got the Jaguars, Giants. These are teams that you could be able to beat. Who knows what's going on with the Cowboys, Patriots, Seahawks, Commanders, Redskins.
So yeah, I like the idea of a double digit win year this year.
Okay. I think I actually put down like some money on the Lions making the playoffs last week when we had Evan on the Infinite podcast that was not recorded properly. Very sad. We might have to fire our sound guy. But he says he's supporting his family on the salary, Corey. So I don't know what we're gonna do. He's gotta get better.
Off what views? How is anyone supporting themselves off this? The only person who watches this is Mom.
Stop it. This is a serious operation. Okay, Corey. Anyway. So let's go ahead and wrap up the Lions then. We're thinking about a 10-7 season. Jared Goff apparently sucks. Very unhappy with him. But he's going to lead he could maybe lead the Lions to the playoffs.
I don't dislike the guy, the Ryan Gosling looking dude, but I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, he's had how many? Honestly, he's been to the Super Bowl at least once.
Right.
We just saw last season that he already had a Super Bowl team. Okay, so that's twice. And I'm thinking at least one of those other seasons, the Rams were in position to win a Super Bowl. Had every single piece except for the quarterback piece. So
this is a valid point.
So we're looking at the Rams in the last 10 years. having three potential Super Bowl, three potential Super Bowl rings, and how many do they have? One, by the hands of a guy that's not Jared Goff. So that to me is what we're working with.
So you look at the same thing as Jimmy Garoppolo, also like taking his team to the deep into the playoffs to the Super Bowl, but just not really the key piece to get his team over the edge. I would say they're probably pretty comparable.
In my opinion, no, because you're missing out on another factor, right? Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up like he should in the playoffs. And they have beat the Packers more than a couple times.
People don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I know a lot of people that don't want to talk about it. You think Bears fans don't want to talk about Walter Payton versus Barry Sanders? Bring me on next week. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
We should get Taylor in here. When he wants to break down the Packers, we'll have you come too. You can just ambush.
Hey man, if you want to talk logic, we can talk logic.
So here's my thing. I'm seriously upset that Aaron Rodgers won the back-to-back MVP. Like, he did good, right? He did really well. But how are you not going to give it to Cooper Kupp? This guy had a season like no receiver in NFL history has ever had. He almost got 2,000 yards. He was like 60 yards short of having a 2,000-yard season, something that has never happened as a receiver. Got the Triple Crown, wins the Super Bowl, and you're still like, nice job, bro, but this guy's still the MVP, the dude that didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. It's like, so we're just saying that receivers can't win it then.
Yeah, that's a little.
It's in the quarterback award.
But I mean, we can't really be surprised. I mean, even when Adrian Peterson came back from his ACL and then still came back and balled out, they still gave the MVP to Peyton Manning.
Oh, the Peyton Manning there.
So we do unfortunately live in
it's the quarterback league.
It's a quarterback league. I mean, you can't act surprised.
Right.
But
I did think that was cool because Cooper Kupp showed up in all those playoff games. He killed the Buccaneers. He sure fucking killed the Buccaneers, dude. That motherfucker got beat Carl Davidson and got into field goal range twice. He beat us twice to get into that field goal range that last drive. Fucking Todd Bowles thought we could man cover Cooper Kupp.
By the way, Cooper Kupp also came back from a knee injury. He was balling out before. He wasn't balling like this, but he was on his rise. Then sustained an injury.
Yeah,
put him out for a significant amount of time. He comes back, shows us what he's made of,
and in the Super Bowl, OBJ went down injured, and Cooper Kupp took over that game. They couldn't cover him.
And I can't wait to see what OBJ does when he comes back. You know?
True. I wonder what he's going to sign too. So, briefly here, before we go on to the Jets, let's just do a brief one on the Jets. We have a young lady's second or third goodbye party to attend to. So,
hey man, I can't even.
Hey,
I can't even.
Wait.
My birthday was like a month ago, and I had like 7 or 8 birthday celebrations.
That's true. I was involved in like 3 of them. So it was a good time.
So I can't.
For whatever reason, I'm always in the States for my birthday, so I always have to do like a States birthday and then come back and do a Costa Rica birthday. It's happened to me like 2 or 3 times now. I don't know why it keeps happening, but just April is the time to be in the States, apparently.
I support that. I like it.
But before we hop into that, Corey, do you have a non-sponsor sponsor for us?
Of course I do, Steven. I always have a non-sponsored sponsor.
For the fine people.
For you, I have Cup of Noodles.
Let's go.
Now listen, sometimes you only have like 5 minutes, but you're hungry, you gotta run off to the gym, you gotta run out to a date. There's things in life. You don't have time to stop, do a bunch of cooking, but you don't want to be there and be all hangry and then fuck up your date or fuck up your lift or whatever. You just swiftly throw some water into your cup of noodles, microwave it for, my microwave is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I figured this out through trial and error. You can also spice it up if you want to get extra fancy. You got a little bit of extra steak, a little bit of extra chicken that's already diced up, or you dice it up yourself, toss it in there as it's cooking the first time, and you have a delicious soup. You will be in a much better mood because you'll be all warm and fuzzy inside. And then you can go out and just handle whatever task is before you because you have a full stomach of non-nutritious food.
It is absolutely beautiful. What a read. What an absolute.
It's better than a Snickers. I'll say that.
So we'll start
Snickers
off-
isn't good for you either.
Snickers is also not good for you. But yeah, it is better than a Snickers.
It keeps you from being hangry.
You don't want to be hangry. So starting off this Jets roster or team in general, I mean the obvious has to be said. Zach Wilson out, injured again. Can the kid stay on the field? Is he injury prone? Is he gonna figure this out? Also, how much game does this guy have? Is he just out there banging everyone's moms? Should we be worried? What do we think?
What's weird is he's also like super Mormon.
Is he? So he's doing more
I think
with
so.
less. He's doing more with less, like Barry Sanders, is what you're saying.
There you go.
Is that what Mormon stands for?
Well, I'm not at liberty to comment. It's still a pending investigation.
Hang on. All right, you guys continue to talk about the Jets. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I think I want to talk about the Jets just because not because I'm a Jets fan or I'm sold or anything on them. There are just so many question marks, I guess. And who are the Jets? Have they decided they're going to be this year? And what's going to happen? I don't know. That's what we watch football for.
That is what we fucking watch football for. Damn right.
Okay. All right.
So,
Coming in like a freight
question: why do you think, so New York isn't even the most populated city in the States? Why do they have, or the most populated state, I'm sorry, why do they have 3 football teams? Like, I get Los Angeles, also very populated. They have, they have 3 teams as well? I destroyed my own point. Never mind. Apparently, if you're one of the 2 most populated states in the United States, you can afford to have 3 teams.
At least you talked yourself through that one.
I talked myself through it. You know what? Same thing with Florida. They also have 3 football teams.
That's why Texas is mad, or Dallas is like, we just need another team here in Dallas. No big deal there. And now that guy's gone. I think the Mafia took care of him.
Yeah, who is it?
Jerry Jones.
We got New York, California, Florida has 3 of them, and what's it? Texas?
Just has Dallas. Well, there's two.
Houston.
But they want their
Houston
third.
and Dallas.
Yeah, they want their third.
They could have a third.
They could definitely support it. It's
But
enough.
what's crazy is, Alabama doesn't have a team.
Yeah,
And they're,
crazy.
super big into football. I think that's why they tried to do the USFL there, because they're like, we need football here other than just college and high school.
I don't know. I think that they are good with just their high school and their college.
That's the thing.
Football.
Is that their college is
They
so crazy.
they alone, if they only had, because I went to school in Iowa, and Iowa, man, I'm telling you, what is it? The Hawkeyes versus Iowa State. Iowa State. It is a huge rivalry.
Really?
It is huge. Yes. Ames, Iowa. That's where Iowa State is, and then Iowa City. That's where the Hawkeyes play. That is a huge rivalry. Those
So
are
when
professional teams. So I can't imagine.
Because Iowa also doesn't have an NFL team. Okay.
I can't imagine being, in Tuscaloosa for the Iron Bowl, the Iron Bowl is in Auburn. But still, the point is the same.
But all right, so
so here's my question. When you say huge rivalry, is it like in Europe where, there's 2 soccer teams or 2 football clubs, I'm sorry, where the fans hate each other and they'll literally get into gang wars and stab each other? Or is it you go to a party, it's oh, I'm this fan, and they're like, oh, you're a jerk, I'm not going to talk to you, tee hee hee. What kind of rivalry are we talking here?
There's been a lot of extracurricular activity. There's been a lot.
Yeah, like that, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I think Iowa's probably top 3, top 5 state of consuming Busch Light in America. So,
Hell yeah, let's go. Let's fucking go.
There's a lot of off the field stuff that they just gotta worry about. Yeah.
You get involved with stuff, it happens. It happens. I understand these things.
All right. Well, then, I guess my question is, couldn't the fans translate to both. So if you had an NFL team in Iowa, they're playing on a Sunday, they're playing on a Thursday, college football is Saturday. So couldn't the fans be a fan of both?
Because there are also different times of year. It's not like there's college football going on at the same time as NFL, right?
Now, I did hear two comedians talking about how there's legit like NFL level money that goes into the Alabama program.
No, they both start at the same time, but football ends just after Valentine's Day, and college football ends just after the New Year. So it's the same time period the entire season.
Yeah.
Except for the end, college football is a little like a month or two shorter.
Yeah, at least. So anyway, getting back to this Jets team that has multiple teams here in New York. It's a whole thing.
Honestly, that's what it is. I think it would be weird. I think it would be so weird on Saturday. You have University of Alabama fans here on Saturday. Okay. Then we got Auburn Tigers here going at it. And then less than 24 hours later, they're rooting for the same team.
Right.
Sorry, I just can't do that.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that's weird.
So you don't want a uniting force. You want the war to rage on.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, that's fair.
I appreciate that stance. I'm not sure I'm right on it, but I appreciate that stance. This guy's really tall.
Hey, just like Michael Caine said in Batman, some men just want to watch the world burn.
I mean, that's fair.
So these Jets might be the Joe Flacco-led Jets. Is that what's going on?
Joe Flacco?
No, listen, my boy Mike White, he's gonna come out of retirement.
Put Mike White in. Listen, coach, you want to win? Put Mike. Shit.
Put Mike White. Put him in there. He's gonna win the game.
All right, before we even go through the schedule,
his thumb is healed.
I think they're gonna be lucky to get out of here with 3 to 4 wins. What are we thinking? Done in the first week. Oh, no, you did say the Browns are going to drop the ball against them, right?
I have a question mark there. Honestly, Joe Flacco, also, I have a question mark there. I mean, I remember watching them barely squeak into the playoffs. And then I think Joe Flacco, for a quarterback, probably had the best 4-game streak that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was downright impressive.
The only one that was comparable to me was Joe Burrow's this last year. But even then, Joe Flacco played much better in that playoff run.
Yeah.
And them ultimately winning the Super Bowl.
Like, especially that first game against the Raiders, that was like a team win that Cincinnati won.
I don't know. His deep ball was pretty. I remember they showed that deep ball day in and
so
day
anyway,
out.
you're trying to say that you think Flacco still has some gas in the tank?
No, absolutely not. They're going to get obliterated this
There's
season.
no way. They're going to get destroyed. So they're losing to the Ravens. They might win against the Browns, you're saying? They're going to lose to the Bengals. They're probably going to lose to the Steelers. The Dolphins are going to beat them.
Yeah, so at best, after the first month, they're 2-2.
Or 1-4 is more realistic, I think.
At best, they're 2-2.
Yeah, I bet they're 2-2.
The Steelers, there's one. That's an L. By the way, I think the Steelers can probably win their division. I'm not supposed to say that because Mitch Trubisky is actually kind of decent.
Dude, but what about Joe Burrow?
I don't know about the second year. Typically, whenever quarterbacks have a really good year, the second year is the true test.
Well, so this is his third year. He went to the Super Bowl in his second year.
Well, no, he got injured the first year, so.
Right, but he still looked good that year until he got hurt. Then he came back from an injury like a champion.
No, I was actually kind of impressed that he came back the way he did. In my head, this is like his second season, just for like.
Right, I get what you're saying.
His second really, really, really good, noteworthy year. So this, to me, for Joe Burrow, would be the true test to see if he's if he's legit. But
Fair enough.
I mean, Mitch Trubisky.
I'm still giving it to the Bengals myself. I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to pull it off, but that's just me.
Agreed.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a believer in Burrow. He's going to prove me wrong.
I believe in Burrow, bro. My man's Joey Cool. He's got
They
this.
locked up that O-line. They got my boy Alex Kappa over there now, helping block the situation.
No, I
They have like the best receiving core in the league.
That is probably true, yeah. No, the Buccaneers probably have the best receiving core in the league. I gotta be biased, but they probably do.
But is Mike Evans healthy? Like, can he recover? I remember him limping around in the playoffs.
He's a little bit hurt. His hamstring has been hurt for 4 years now, and the guy still plays through it.
He can run a 3rd and goal on the 4-yard line. Throw the ball to Mike Evans.
Damn right.
Boom, there you go. That's it.
Damn right.
I don't need your hamstring for 20 yards. I need it for these 6 yards.
Yep.
Get me end zone, catch the ball.
Dude, I played a whole game with a hurt hamstring as running back until our DN got hurt, and then I switched to DN. Turns out you don't run very much at DN. It's just kind of like, this is my area. Come into my area, you're fucked. I mean, I was wrapping up tackles. No one got past me.
Hold on, we gotta go back up here. So what are we saying now? Now that we get to the Packers, I think the Packers are gonna whip them too. So
I'm looking for games that I am certain that the Jets will win. I have yet to find one.
No, it's Russell Wilson now. I keep forgetting he's over there.
Oh, I was on the Broncos. Never mind. Sorry. Oh, no. They could beat the Patriots.
They could beat the Patriots. Yeah, they could split the Patriots, I think. I think splitting the Patriots isn't crazy.
Ooh,
Whether it be in New York or in Gillette Stadium, I think they could pull off a split.
Oh yeah, they play them in week 8 and then
week
again
11.
on week 11. I want to see that.
So the week 11 one, I don't want to see that. What about Bears?
They could beat the Bears.
They got the Bears at home, no less.
They could beat the Bears.
They could probably beat the Vikings too.
They look pretty
I'm
good.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins' numbers look actually pretty good.
They do, especially after last year. Detroit Lions looked okay.
They could beat the Lions.
Could beat the Lions. They could definitely beat the Jaguars, Seahawks.
Jaguars.
All right, there's a couple here they could get at the end of the year here. They could round out 4 to 5 wins, I think.
I think a very optimistic prediction, especially with the quarterback situation.
That is true.
They could go 6-11. I think 6-11 is a successful season.
Oh, for sure.
Given the New York Jets.
I think that's very optimistic. Yes, I think that's pretty on point. Omeiza, did you have a non-sponsor sponsor for us you wanted to go over?
A non-sponsor sponsor.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh.
If not, it's fine. No. Okay. All right. No worries. So, just to go ahead and wrap this up. On the last podcast, we briefly talked about New Zealand losing to the Springboks, South Africa, and they had a second game, and New Zealand came back and won that one. Who knew? New Zealand doesn't like to lose that much, so I'd say the Springboks still looks like probably the better team of the two going into this World Cup series. They're probably still the best team in the world. New Zealand has a lot of questions, and they need to start finding some answers because the World Cup is coming up in about 2 years. But that last game was good for them. They were moving the ball a lot better. Sam Whitelock played a lot better. The Barrett brothers stepped up, of course, to Swedish rugby. There's some quality international rugby out there, Omeiza, and it's only continuing to grow. It's nice that it'll all just kind of be there while we're headed into this deep NFL season. How excited are you about it, Corin?
Fucking pumped, man.
Yeah.
Gonna do fucking tacos at my house. Gonna have people come over, and we're gonna play beer pong, eat tacos, and watch football. It's gonna be lit.
Fuck yeah, dude. I wonder how long it's gonna take. I want to say in the next 25 years, I think that rugby will actually hit its stride as far as popularity in America.
I hope so.
I agree.
Obviously, it'll take a big trickle down effect.
Yeah,
but,
I wonder what would trigger it though.
But I mean, we talk about all these football players. We talked about Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, if they're training to become football players, I mean, even if I only took the NFL Combine and I took all of these guys that are the most athletic guys you will ever see on the planet. And we took even half, a third, we'll even take a quarter of them. And we took even the worst performing guys at the combine, the worst quarter of those guys, and rewinded 10 years, and instead of having them play football, we had them play rugby. I mean, imagine the state of the U.S. Rugby program after that.
I mean, well, then they need to do something. They just lost to Chile, and
I think
there's just no reason you should be losing to Chile. Like, get it together.
I feel like people could also adapt. Like I think a lot of ex-college football players discover martial arts in their later years, and they get into the UFC, and then they have like a resurgence of their athleticism in the UFC. And the UFC is also a very new sport that's been around 20 years. I think the UFC has been around. Like obviously, martial arts has been around since the beginning of time, where one dude was pissed at another dude. But as far as it being like a combat sport in the United States, I think now the UFC is established, I think the next sport to come up would probably be rugby.
That'd be really cool. I'd love to see it. Well, we'll see. Right now, the popularity is definitely low, you could say. Omeiza, thank you for coming into the studio today and being the first, visitor to the Sports by Compian studio. Do you have any parting words about these Detroit Lions for 2022, about Dan Campbell himself as a person?
I like the energy that Dan Campbell brings.
Who doesn't?
I would like to see, like I said, I want to see DeAndre Swift be that guy.
Yeah. I think, what's that running back coach? Staley, Marcus Staley, or Deuce McAllister, yeah. He's all over him about it. He's definitely like, hey, you need to see these gaps and hit it the right way and go score.
Injuries suck. They happen, but we just talked about a bunch of guys who came back from injuries and played really well. And I think I really hope DeAndre Swift is going to be that guy this year. So
cool. Well, appreciate you coming in, Corey. Thanks for joining once again. We will talk to you at another time. Thanks for watching, people. Sports by Compian out.